It's been a while, but we're back on Nutmeg Sports. Nice to see you all. Spring season off and running. I'm Rob Adams. Donald Eng will join us in a little bit. Quick show today, although, well, a full show as usual, but it's so quick because we have so much to get to. Among the things we're going to get to on this show, we are going to visit with the New Canaan girls lacrosse team. We will show you highlights of our first broadcast of the spring, Norwalk and Brian McMahon in baseball. We also will have a chat in just a moment with Tim Murphy of the Wilton Bulletin. Murph and I spoke last week about the Wilton soccer situation, Don, that has gotten really out of control.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say because obviously with a personnel decision you never really get the full story, but it does seem like when you have that number of coaching turnovers in that short of time, then you start to say to yourself, that's a trend.
Yep, there are a lot of layers to this story, from the athletic director to a former player writing a rather terse letter that ran in the Wilton Bulletin. A lot of stuff to get to. Murph and I cover it. Tim Murphy and I talked last week about the situation with the Wilton girls soccer team. And just down the road from Ridgefield, of course, is Wilton, one of the big rivalries in the FCAC. And Murph, Wilton had themselves a little bit of, let's say, off-the-field news that involves girls soccer. Tell us what happened.
Right. Well, head coach Freya Coombe, who was in her first year with the program, and right from the start, there were some issues with the captains. They were voted before she took over. They did a revote, and it kind of went downhill from there. One girl quit the team during the early part of the season, and two others left right before the state tournament. Team did well, made it to the state quarterfinals. Coach got a favorable review, thinking she was coming back, and something changed, and she is now resigned, if you believe that, or other people have told me that, she was forced to resign.
Has a lot of layers to it. I know that the Wilton Bulletin received a letter from a former player as well, and the letter was pretty blunt.
Right, the letter was critical of the administration, and they've had 5 coaches now in 6 years, but that player also didn't play with this coach who was just there for 1 year, so that, her perspective on that is, we don't know. But obviously it's been a program with a lot of turnover, trying to please all the parents. Part of it is that these coaches are club guys and different parents, and their kids play with different clubs, and that gets factored into the mix.
Where is the problem then in all of this? What's going on? Why are we seeing so many coaches in so many different years?
Well, I think it's just a few of them, were pretty much had to go. They did some things that were definitely termination worthy. But I think again, it's just this system of all these club coaches. Probably the best thing might be to hire someone with no ties to any area club or premier team. Then you'd be getting someone who doesn't know the players, and there's not going to be any charges of favoritism.
And it seemed like Freya Coombe was that person to an extent, didn't have that connection, and yet it just seemed like no one was happy that there was almost an assistant coach in waiting, and again, a lot of layers to this story.
Right, and Freya is involved with Everton CT.
True,
true. So she does have a stake in that. But I think it just was something that probably could have been taken care of earlier, but kind of blossomed, and no one really saw it get into this level.
Is this another case of parents that are hyper involved? Where would blame fall?
I think it can go around in this case. I mean, I think it's the parents, the coach Freya. I think maybe her communication style could have been a little better. I know that's one of the things she was asked to improve on at her interview rating. The administration probably could have done a better, more proactive job. It's just a series of events that turned into the perfect storm.
But if we're going to take this as an on-the-field thing, just looking at on the field for a moment, this is a team that came out of the blocks and struggled, as we know, and yet had a really good season. You have to look at that season as being a success, especially when you consider the turmoil of players leaving.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. I mean, the team 1-5, but they lost lots of players, so that wasn't unexpected. They played a lot of tough teams early, turned it around, made it to the FCI quarterfinals, only lost to Ridgefield, the eventual champ, 1-0. 2 other girls quit. They then go on to make it to the state quarterfinals, lost 1-0 to New Canaan. So, I would think by most metrics it was a successful season on the field. A lot of good young players who got playing time. So it's kind of shocking in a way that it seemed like things were heading the right direction.
I saw the Wilton athletic director the other day, and we just kind of smiled at each other. But, he's obviously a little bit under fire now just based on the letter that came out and, some of the chatter. That's not a favorable position to be in either.
No, I think, he's definitely in a tough spot trying to placate all the parties involved. And, they have a committee formed to look for a new coach. And, hopefully they'll get someone who's maybe a little bit of an outside, actually has a background in soccer, but maybe not be from this area.
So how does Wilton soccer, and I'll talk about it in terms of a community, how does that community get reunited? Because right now it's very divisive. Clearly it's divided.
Right. Some of it will be just natural from people graduating, the people who are parents or kids who are involved that graduate, so that, they'll be gone. So that will probably clear out some of that. But it's a shame. It's a program with such a great history. I mean,
yeah.
You've had Christine Lilly and 11 state titles, more than any other team in Connecticut. So it's really a storied program. It's a shame to see it having this constant turnover.
Going back onto the field then, how does it look going into next year? Now, I recognize we're recording this in April, and we've got months to go. Players can change towns and things like that. Where does it go from here?
Well, I think, if everybody comes back, certainly they had a lot of younger players, even freshmen, playing key roles last year. So, I think the future looks pretty good for the program as long as they can kind of heal this division.
Sounds like they need a coach to kind of unite them, and then their captains need to really step up, and maybe the parents need to take a step back as well. I mean, is that all fair to say?
I think that's fine. I think you maybe want to come up with a system, almost a model for electing captains, after this.
Yeah.
Schools might want to just say, here's how we're going to do it, and do you let the coach do it? Do you have to vote? It's just to get rid of any kind of controversy behind that.
I think to sum up, it almost seems like, and I don't mean to sound trite when I say this, but it's almost like everybody needs to step back, look inside themselves, and then go from there.
Right. I think people should step back and, it's high school sports,
yeah.
Which is serious, but ultimately not that serious. And, just got to get a little perspective on this.
Well, Murph, I appreciate you coming out and standing here and talking with us about it. A great column by you, of course, as always, but it's just a story that you don't want to see. We want high school sports to be fun and competitive and wins and losses, but fun. And This was not fun.
No, it's going to keep happening. All it takes is a faction of parents who are not happy, and they press the issue.
Yeah, well, again, Murph, thanks. Tim Murphy joining us here on this special version of Nutmeg Sports, a Nutmeg Sports update. We're at Ridgefield High School talking, of course, about what happened with the Wilton High School girls soccer program. We thank you for watching.
Had a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or go to coastalorthoexpress.com. That's coastalorthoexpress.com. Like them on Facebook.
Are you hoping winter is finally in our rearview mirror? Can't wait for the air and water temperatures to start rising? Well, if the answer is yes, you need to get over to Darien or Westport and stop by the Dock Shop, where it's always summer. Both shops are being stocked with lots of new merchandise, including fishing tackle, marine electronics, boating supplies, and more. But remember, the Dock Shop isn't your average tackle shop. At the Dock Shop, you'll also find the finest selection of nautical apparel, jewelry, home decor, and gifts in New England. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, and 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Online at dockshop.com.
Join the HAN Network and Make-A-Wish Connecticut to help make travel wishes come true for local kids with life-threatening medical conditions. Donate your unused airline miles to the HAN Network Wishes in Flight campaign. Over 70% of wishes granted involve travel, and your unused airline miles can help make kids' dreams become a reality. Plus, once you donate your miles to Make-A-Wish, they will never expire. Donate your unused miles and help the HAN Network share the power of a wish.
You are watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. Nearly 500,000 viewers enjoyed our broadcast in the first 5 months. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Jessica Murrin, Advertising Director, at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Back in studio. Of course, we've got lacrosse coming up later today. Girls lacrosse between John Jay of New York and New Canaan. That's coming up at 4:30. But Don, a lot of news going on and a lot of various things going on. Some topics that we need to get to. Of course, thanks again to Tim Murphy for the conversation about Wilton girls soccer. Let's stay in Wilton for a moment with some of the, some really sad news. The passing of former head coach Tom Fujitani. Wilton High School football has only had 4 coaches, starting in the 1950s with Nick Zioli, moved into Fujitani for 32 seasons before eventually Tim Egan and Bruce Cunningham, but now only 3 left with the passing of Coach Fujitani at the age of just 73.
Right. A remarkable record of consistency for Wilton football. That's, 4 coaches in almost going on 70 years. I mean, that is remarkably consistent. Just a remarkable, just stability in the program. You always like to see that. Fujitani, unfortunately, just passing away suddenly, apparently on a, on just a recreational trip. So it is unfortunate. 32 seasons, took over started as an assistant in 1966, and then coached 32 seasons, leaving after the 2000 season. Career record: 163 wins, 147 losses, and 2 state championships.
And you're getting a look at Coach Fujitani, second from left. That's current coach Bruce Cunningham on the left. Nick Zioli third in, who was also the athletic director, and of course the field house named for him. The football field, known really as Veterans Memorial Stadium, is Fujitani Field. Most people call it Fujitani Field at this point, and that is Tim Egan on the far right, who took over after Coach Fujitani stepped down in 2000. Now, of course, the baseball coach, Bruce Cunningham, the current coach. Coach Fujitani, a Greenwich guy, Greenwich graduate. His brother,
played quarterback at Greenwich.
Yeah, his brother, and an outstanding hockey guy. His brother Peter was the head hockey coach there for many years, led the Cardinals to their last state championship 24 years ago. And his brother-in-law, former Greenwich football coach and now Trinity Catholic assistant coach, Rich Albanizio. So a lot of sad faces around these parts with the passing of Coach Fujitani. A really super, we often talk about how nice a person was, when they've passed. No, Coach Fujitani was the real deal. Yeah,
I mean, if you walk around, just the impact he had on the town of Greenwich, including like his work with some of the nonprofits in the area, and the John Core Memorial Award to the Wilton Senior Male Athlete, embodying the spirit, of being an athlete and a student and just an all-around service dedicated person. Just a great guy. You won't find anyone really. We always say it. No one really has anything negative to say about him. It's just a remarkable lifetime. And also just getting to be involved in the lives of a lot of these young kids that have come through that football program.
Yeah, I had the chance to be on the dais of the Greenwich Old Timers banquet several years, and on that dais, and I always say I never belonged up there. I was very honored to be up there, but the likes of Rich Albanizio, and they'd always have a national guest and some local honorees. And among them were always the Fujitani brothers, including Tom Fujitani, and the other gentleman, and one I got to sit with one year, he sat right next to me, was Mike Sandlock. Mike Sandlock was a former major leaguer who started his career with the Boston Braves, moved into the Dodgers in 1945, where he had his best season, eventually wound up in a 12-year career with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Mike Sandlock died last night at the age of 100, and he was a bona fide Greenwich legend.
Yeah, born in 1915 to Polish immigrants that were actually illiterate. Old Greenwich, back when it was called Sound Beach. Here's something to tell you how long ago that was. He grew up in a Fairfield Avenue home in Old Greenwich that his parents had bought for the lofty sum of $300.
And if you've worked in media, in sports media in Fairfield County and had anything to do with Greenwich, chances are you've encountered Mr. Sandlock at one time or another. I interviewed him on WGCH many years ago, sat with him, as I mentioned, at the Greenwich Old Timers banquet. Eric Gendron, who's directing today, interviewed him for a lengthy series, so go look that up online as well. Again, a very sweet man, very funny man, by the way. When I sat with him at the banquet, I just spent the whole night laughing with him. But really, one of the real pillars of Greenwich. And again, condolences not only to the Fujitani family, but to those who loved Mike Sandlock as well.
Right. I'm just reading on the Greenwich website. Eric Gendron, as you mentioned, wrote a great retrospective when he turned 100 years old, including his first pro baseball gig with the Electrolux company baseball team.
That is correct, and of course this is a guy who knew a bit about Jackie Robinson, knew the Boys of Summer, which is what the Dodgers were called back then, the Bums. So again, Mike Sandlock passed away, dead at 100, and Tom Fujitani. And again, our condolences to both those families. Staying on news that, switching gears, let's say, we turn now to Darien and some stuff going on there as we kind of hit some treetops here on some stories. Darien getting closer, theoretically, to putting lights in at their high school football field.
Right. It looks like a compromise, a sort of on-the-table compromise solution. Obviously, the school has been wanting to put lights in, to have night games, and a lot of the neighbors have been opposed to it. Apparently, 8 nearby neighbors have signed off on putting permanent lights at Darien High with a series of restrictions, including 10 games a year, adjusted appraisal on their home values, and only varsity games on the field. One of those neighbors also is the one that has been behind most of the lawsuits against the project.
But let's be honest, and you're getting a look here. The nearest house, and this is courtesy of Susan Schultz in Darien at the Times, you're talking 1,000 feet away, first of all. Now, all that being said, as you're getting a look at the circumstances, at the setup at Darien High School, 10 games a year, done. Come on, they play 4 to 5 home games just for football alone. You're trying to tell me now that girls lacrosse can't have a night game or boys lacrosse can't have a night game. We know there are going to be those night games. Track and field, maybe they want an event under the lights. Come on.
It does. It seems excessively restrictive to me. I do agree, and I like the fact when you're in high school, it's nice to have these games right after school, so you can kind of walk out and support your classmates. But then you have to think about it also. The parents of JV football players want to see their kids play. The parents and grandparents of girls soccer players want to come out and see their girls play, and girls lacrosse and girls lacrosse. All these sports. I mean, 10 games the 10 game a year restriction, varsity only. It's what I would call a step in the right direction. Now, of course, the school counteroffers, and we see where it goes from there.
I think it's step one.
Right.
I think it's going to go a lot further than this. I think it's a negotiation, and I think there's, how can I say this? There is some political maneuvering going on here that we're going to dig into a little more if we can. I do have a request out to Darien First Selectman Jamie Stevenson on this topic, maybe some other guests as well, because everybody has thoughts about this. Bottom line is this, and I've been saying this consistently on this show, we are down to just 3 fields in the FCAC without lights. Darien is one of the premier places in the conference. It is time, and don't give me this garbage about 10 games.
Right. Well, and also when you think about it, it's not like this isn't like Major League Baseball where you're going to have lights and crowd noise from 30,000 people going on until 11:30 at night. I mean, these are high school games that are taking place on Friday nights or Thursday nights or whenever. They start at 7. They're over by about 9:15. So it's not like you're going to be listening to crowd noise and seeing these arc lights coming through your window at midnight. It's just not going to be the case.
Exactly. Before we take a break, I got a couple of quick nuggets I want to hit that are maybe of a little bit of, they are of a national nature. Number one, how can this show go by without mentioning the national championship last night? I have to do a second on that. Unreal.
It was thrilling.
I mean, come on. And if you love broadcasting, if you love play-by-play like I do, there are at least, I think, upwards of 10 play-by-play calls that are online. I thought Jim Nance's was brilliant. I thought it was very well done. Kevin Kugler on Westwood One is the best play-by-play guy that nobody knows. Go find it and listen to it. In fact, I tweeted it, and I know A.J. Simonowski listened to it. You had Sean McDonough doing an international call. Sean McDonough is a great play-by-play guy. Student broadcasters, the fan broadcasters, plus Russia and Spain. So a mind-blowing moment. Really a marquee moment that we're not going to forget, although we're going to forget North Carolina's shot that tied it up with only 4
and that
seconds
was
to go.
that was a remarkable shot that he hit off balance, coming on the way down with his legs kind of splayed in all different directions. And as an old school fan of the original Big East, it was great to see Villanova come back.
Great.
It was great to see Villanova win. It was also great to see Villanova beat a team from the ACC. And it didn't really matter which team it was, because it was essentially the ACC attempted to assassinate the Big East, and now with Louisville and then UConn when they were still in the now. So how many now former Big East schools have won since the last? Duke won.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
but
too much.
But it was nice to see a Big East team take out one of the ACC Blue Bloods.
And Rolly Massimino in the house as
how
well.
Great was that?
Was
also
pretty cool. 2 more quickies before we step out for a moment. Much will be said by me as we go through this spring and summer on the great Vin Scully, who of course started his 67th and final year as voice of the Dodgers yesterday. But don't forget, in the same ballpark yesterday, maybe a door or two down, is the great Dick Enberg, also starting his final year as voice of the Padres. I don't want to forget one of the great broadcasters in this business who's taught the likes of me so much. Of course, Scully is the master beyond a doubt, but we don't want to forget about Mr. Enberg. And a thank you to everyone who joined us on the FCAC Tour. We would absolutely be remiss if we don't give a shout out to all 17 schools. I don't have the final count of the athletes or the number of interviews that we did, but there were
it was significant.
It was wild. And it goes all the way back to the end of August that we did these interviews. Now the spring tour is in the books. We'll show you one of them when we'll get to New Canaan girls lacrosse. But I think of so many different memories that'll come out of this, such as just yesterday at Ludlow, learning of the baseball gods that Fairfield Ludlow's baseball team will acknowledge. So I love sports, let's face it.
I know the winter season ends. We move right on into the spring. Beautiful football weather this week to get out and call some baseball and softball games.
And it doesn't happen without the entire crew. From Eric to AJ and all the guys that were out on site with us day after day. Marty, Josh, Kate, and then Bill Bloxham and just the best. Frank Granito as well. I'm the voice, but they are all there producing it. We'll take a break here on Nutmeg Sports. We will continue on a show that we are roaring through. So much to get to. We'll continue right after this on the HAN Network.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Chop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
At the Sylvan Learning Center of Darien, experienced teachers and personalized academic support equals superior results. Our certified teachers uncover skill gaps, address specific needs, and help students realize greater academic success and increased confidence. We're enrolling now. Individualized after-school tutoring in reading, math, history, elementary math, algebra, geometry, calculus, high school science, and study skills. For a free consultation, call 203-655-3276 or email gmcsylvan@gmail.com.
It's time to come back to hometown banking, where people are taken into account, not just balances. Where community comes first. A place where there's more than one kind of interest. Where automation will never replace consideration. Where they not only know your name, they know your dog's name too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
You are watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. Nearly 500,000 viewers enjoyed our broadcasts in the first 5 months. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Jessica Murrin, Advertising Director, at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Back with you on Nutmeg Sports for our final segment for this Tuesday. Few things we got to get to. Rob Adams, Donald Eng. Couple of quickies before we head out. This will be our final kind of words of the show, but we'll leave you with some other stuff to watch, Don. We're going to be busy with some games going on this week, and we'll see what else comes along.
You know, there's a lot going on. It's never a dull moment.
Never, for sure. Now, we've got some videos for you. First of all, you're going to see highlights of our first game broadcast. And again, necessity is the mother of invention. And I say this to the crew all the time. You know, one of our most famous near misses was last Thanksgiving, where we thought we weren't going to get on the air for the FCAC championship. And there was me, almost like a Buddha, saying, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And on Saturday in Norwalk, as we looked at the raindrops, as we worried about our equipment, the cameras, the microphones, all that stuff, it was almost like those same baseball gods tapped myself, Eric Gendron, John Kovac, and A.J. Simonowski on the shoulder, and we all kind of went, there's a window right up there at Nathan Hale Middle School. So, with Marty Hersum and the rest of the crew, we went upstairs. That's the view you will see on these highlights of Norwalk and Brian McMahon in game number 1 of our broadcast schedule. That will be followed up by an interview we conducted on the FCAC Tour with the New Canaan girls lacrosse team, and that leads us to lacrosse later today at 4:30. John Jay of New York, the Indians, come to play the New Canaan Rams. Again, that's 4:30 today on the HAN Network. Tomorrow, boys lacrosse, Fairfield Prep in New Canaan. That's at 4 o'clock. And then 4 o'clock on Thursday, weather permitting, though not likely, Darien and Fairfield Ludlow at Fairfield Ludlow. Anything you want to say before we say goodbye?
I'm just looking forward to some lacrosse tomorrow. I'll be glued to the laptop.
All right, sounds good. Great rallying by the gang here, and of course, coffee break tomorrow morning. Deep breath, Rob. For Donald Eng, Eric Gendron, our entire crew, I'm Rob Adams. Enjoy baseball highlights and the New Canaan girls lacrosse interview coming up right now on Nutmeg Sports.
This HAN Network video is brought to you by Bankwell. Bank smart, bank local, bank well.
Not exactly the best weather for baseball, but nonetheless, opening day, one of the best days of the year. And it is opening day for the 2016 high school baseball season on the HAN Network. Long run. Here's Richard Clemens as the pitch gets away. Almonte to the plate. Throw not in time. 1-0. Almonte and Gonzalez collide. Almonte comes up and shows safe, and it's a 1-0 game on the wild pitch. We have a whole lot of action to bring you throughout April and then into May. I'll kind of explain the schedule as we move along. This is a line drive to center starting, and now going back, it's over the head of Ortiz in center. The classic mistake. Rounding first, heading to second, Matthews. On his horse, coming home, Clemens. On his way to third, and sliding in safely with a triple is Matthews. It's a 2-0 ball game. We started hearing, as this is bounced to the left side, charging to grab it at third is Claps, throws to first. The run scores. It's a 2-1 ball game. And the pitch coming. Pulls it. Grabbed it second. Sliding grab Almonte. What a play. Pumped up is Almonte, and the inning does come to an end. However, Norwalk does get on the scoreboard 7th with runners at the corners. He swings a fly ball, a liner to right center field. This is going to split the defenders. 1 run will score Macari. Almonte chugging around. He will come toward the plate. The throw in time. Got him. And he clearly ran through a stop sign that John Cross had at third, and the coach coming down the line with a few words for Almonte. The 0-1. Line to center in his tracks, climbing up and making the catch is Hunter Dumas, and the ball game is over.
This HAN Network video is brought to you by Carl Chevrolet.
Welcome to New Canaan High School on the HAN Network. I'm Rob Adams. We're going to talk with the girls lacrosse team here at New Canaan, and I feel like I know at least the names, if not some of the faces, but we'll let them introduce themselves. We've seen many of them for one sport or another, and we'll start right here.
I'm Catherine Granito.
Hi, I'm Mia Carroll. Hi, I'm Sammy Stewart.
I'm Kylie Murphy.
See, they all survived the microphone part very well. Catherine, okay, I'll start with you. Tell us something awful about your brother Frank. No, I'm only kidding. Frank is one of us here at the HAN Network. You had a tornado hit in practice? What? What happened?
Yes, that's a real story. We were practicing on the water tower turf, and the next thing you know, there's a big gust of wind, and there's a mini tornado on our field. And it was interesting.
It sounds fairly interesting. By the way, Catherine going to the University of Michigan to play lacrosse, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Should be very exciting. And lacrosse is going to do very well here, Mia, at New Canaan. I'm sure you have big expectations this year. What are those expectations?
I mean, coming into the season, we definitely want to come out strong. I mean, for us as 4 seniors, we definitely want to finish our last season with New Canaan in any sport on a good note. So we're definitely looking to redeem the FCIAC championship and hopefully keep the state championship.
And speaking of college, gorgeous Williams College. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is a great place. All right, let's switch over to Sammy. And first of all, Sammy going to West Point, and that is great as well. And you've got the right colors on today.
Yeah, I do.
Well done.
Thank you.
Who do you want? Who do you expect to beat this year in the conference? And I'm sure there's one team that comes to mind.
One team definitely does come to mind. That would be Darien. Obviously, we want redemption for the FCIAC final last year. They're a very strong team, and hopefully we'll come out with a win.
And for their coach, they don't expect to be, they don't want to guarantee. We're just, we're just talking here.
We're just
okay.
hoping.
We're just, it's all hopeful. Kylie, over to you. Since the 5th grade, you've had something. What?
My stick.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? What? I mean, is it like a baseball or a softball bat? You're just comfortable with it?
Well, I mean, I had the same stick from 2nd grade to 4th grade, and then my brother, unfortunately, cracked that one. So had to get a new one in 5th grade, and I can't use any other stick. They just don't work for me.
No kidding.
No.
Is it really that kind of a thing where you're that comfortable with something like that?
Just I think it's honestly just Kylie. Really? She's got some unique hands, and they really only work with her stick.
Yeah,
for her,
I think the best part about it is that it's a yellow and black stick. It isn't even our team colors, but it's the best stick on the team.
Yeah.
This is a good group. They're going to have a good year. Best of luck to all of you, and have a good time out there, but more so, I guess, go get some wins.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. They will win, and they will win a lot, and we'll see them throughout the season. We've got them at least once here on our broadcast schedule, so we look forward to seeing them, if not more than once. But I'm trying to remember the schedule in the back of my head. They're giving me a hard time already. We thank the girls lacrosse team here at New Canaan High School for joining us on the HAN Network.